Mother and her grandson were attacked by pit bulls.
It was a tragedy.
And neighbors rushed in to help.
Just curious to know how they treated their dogs. Did they train them?
A religious freedom case from Colorado center stage at the Supreme Court. We're hearing different perspectives on this case.
I am a Christian, and as a Christian, I believe that marriage is between one man and one woman.
And tens of thousands of dollars meant to provide mental health services in Denver wasted. A woman and her grandson are in the hospital tonight, one day after police say they were attacked by their family's dogs in Golden yesterday. Good evening, and thank you for joining us for Denver 7 News at 5. I'm Ann Trujillo.
And I'm Shannon Ogden. Denver 7's Bayan Wang is live on this one tonight. Bayan, you have been talking to neighbors there. You're also talking to police about what happened.
Yeah, that's right. They all say that this is very tragic. This is, of course, very sad. And you know, usually when we do stories like this, it involves a dog that's never interacted with the person they attacked. But in this case, what makes it so bizarre, as you guys mentioned, is that these dogs actually belong to the family.
I was kind of shocked, to be honest.
No, that's not normal anywhere for any neighborhood.
It wasn't like anything neighbors in this Golden neighborhood have seen before.
It was a tragedy, a very emotional scene.
Officers receiving calls about a dog bite shortly after 3:30 p.m. Wednesday.
Which very quickly and rapidly evolved into an animal attack.
Two pit bulls attacking an 89-year-old woman and her 12-year-old grandson in their backyard.
These two animals were and are loved members of this family. They're pets just like the majority of us have.
A neighbor several doors down capturing sounds he heard from the scene after officers arrived. Golden police say two officers used less than lethal weapons as they used themselves as human shields standing between the 89-year-old woman and the dogs.
There's a shooting like in my backyard. You can hear these gunshots.
During the attack, the 12-year-old boy managed to escape and ran to a neighbor's home across the street for help. A woman who didn't want to be on camera said she provided medical aid until first responders arrived. As for the dogs
were taken to a local area veterinarian clinic where they were triaged, they were treated, cared for. One ultimately had to be euthanized, while the other animal is currently at the Foothills Animal Shelter.
And the sergeant went on to say that thankfully there were no officers injured in this incident. As for the 89-year-old woman, she remains in critical condition, and the young boy is in stable condition. And
Yeah, that is so scary. All right, Bayan, thank you. And vicious dog attacks like this are really not that uncommon. And we want to warn you, some of these photos we're about to show you are graphic. Just last month, 3 dogs ran into Stacy Cohen's front yard in Brighton. The dogs then attacked her on her front deck. And Cohen was able to capture video of the dog shortly before the attack. And the wounds on her legs, they still haven't healed. She didn't require surgery after the attack, but she did need multiple stitches. And Cohen still doesn't know where her neighbor's dogs ended up after the attack.
The attack was so vicious, I did not think I was going to survive at one point. Eventually, I found out he only surrendered 2. I don't know which 2 were surrendered. They won't tell me what has been done with them. They won't even tell me if they've given the dogs back.
And Cohen filed this report with Adams County Animal Management, and we reached out for comment about the status of the dogs. Adams County has not yet responded. However, an ordinance on ADCO's website says it shall be unlawful for any person to unlawfully own, possess, or harbor a dog that has caused bodily injury to a person. The owner of the dogs in this case is due in court next month, and we will have more on this story coming up on Denver 7 News at 6.
A Boulder mother who went missing with her 2 children tonight is in jail facing child abuse charges. Police arrested Laura McCall this morning in Lafayette. Officers received a call last night saying that McCall, her 7-year-old daughter and 9-year-old son had disappeared. Well, police say they found the children safe in Lafayette this morning. They were alone in McCall's car. McCall was found nearby in Lafayette. The children have been reunited with their father. Well, police used Officer Dylan Vakoff's handcuffs to arrest the man accused of killing him. Arvada police say these handcuffs had Vakoff's badge number 1927. When Sonny Almanza was taken to jail, the call was closed with Vakoff's call sign from Sunday. Officer Vakoff was shot and killed Sunday morning, responding to a family disturbance. His funeral is 10 o'clock tomorrow morning. It's at Flatirons Community Church in Lafayette, and this service is open to the public.
Denver police arrested 2 16-year-old boys for a double shooting near East High School last week. Police say there was a fight between the boys and a 20-year-old man. One of the suspects fired a gun, hitting the man and an innocent bystander, 14-year-old R.J. Harding. Harding was shot in the face, and he is still in the hospital recovering. Denver police tell us Harding was not involved in the fight.
Wasted grant money, late payments, and improper spending. The City of Denver's auditor released a report today questioning the management of grant money by Denver Police Department and the Department of Public Safety. So I want to give you some better context on the findings of this report. First, where the money was supposed to go. It was supposed to fund the co-responder program, which pairs a licensed mental health professional with a police officer to respond to calls for mental health needs. Now, in 2018, voters approved a 0.25% sales and use tax increase to fund more behavioral services like this. Now, the funds generated from the tax increase were distributed by a nonprofit group called the Caring for Denver Foundation. And the audit finds the police department left $383,000 of grant money for this co-responder program unused. And with gained interest, that now totals $438,000. But since it's grant money, this is use it or lose it, and that money must now be returned. The audit finds that DPD management wrongly assumed that the money would roll over from year to year.
And in addition to the unused grant money, the audit finds that some grant money was used for things like travel expenses and utility bills. It also finds the City of Denver accrued thousands in late fee penalties from the nonprofit meant to provide services for the co-responder program. The Denver City Auditor released 25 recommendations for the police department, and among the recommendations, the auditor wants the city to calculate and pay overdue costs, establish a secure invoice transfer system, and create a grant oversight position to monitor compliance. Now, Denver's Department of Public Safety released its own statement today, and in it they say they appreciate the auditor's work, and they add that, in part, quote, the report did not factor in the environmental, societal, or economic factors that directly impacted this program, including a global pandemic, civil unrest, and severe economic challenges that had major impacts on staffing and administrative capacity.
Well, Colorado's getting $100 million from the federal government for improvements to I-70 on the way up to the high country. CDOT will use the money for an 8-mile stretch of I-70. This is from Evergreen to Idaho Springs. The work will include adding a third westbound lane, creating a frontage road connection, and making a new ramp from US 6 to eastbound I-70. The project will also work with the Clear Creek Greenway with wildlife crossings, electric vehicle charging stations, and shuttle parking lots. Colorado's newest congressional district has the highest number of Hispanic residents of any of the state's districts.
I think what's going to happen is we're going to see a training ground for campaigns.
Candidates are making calls and going door to door to hear the issues important to the community.
We're seeing the inflation, the economy, that being top of their priorities.
And the Stanley Cup makes a surprise visit to the Broncos.
Still some scattered storms out there, but I think you're really going to like the weekend forecast.